Alright, what's up guys? The biggest thing that I want to say is I'm sorry. I'm redoing this video like a million times because I just got my audio fixed. I'm probably gonna stay on this crappier computer for a while. We're gonna figure out later if I want to fix it or not. Right now it kind of meets all my needs, so the quality of the videos is gonna go lower, but I had to do this over because the audio, and I've kind of found a bit more concise way to do this. And so the biggest point of this video is that weapons are bad in this game, and if you're not using the weapon for the passive, it's not really worth it. And so even some people are saying, "Oh, they're different weapons." There are all these weapons in this game, and only like 5 of them matter, and their passives don't have any meaningful effect on the weapons because the weapons base numbers are so low. And so at the end of the day, even with the best wedges on your weapon, you can't really hit insane DPS numbers. And this kind of stems from me going like, oh, my consonance weapon does 20 damage on Lin, 20k damage on Lin. Let me see if I can get a weapon. I was doing mediation. Let me see if I can get a weapon to do 20k damage, and let me see how much damage I could do to the bomb, and try to get that multiplier up there, and see if 20k damage is enough, so I can run someone else other than Lin for fun. And I tried it. I got my weapon to do 20k spike damage, and it wasn't there because the laceration damage from Lin is still insane. So the biggest thing is to take away from this is that characters, skills, and stuff have like 5,000 damage multipliers. Character weapons don't have any way to multiply the bonuses, so you end up hitting diminishing returns. And because you end up hitting diminishing returns, you'll never hit those big DPS values, because the biggest thing that I will say in all of my testing is if your character does not do a million damage a second, this could be like within 5 seconds. It's a little bit exaggerated. It doesn't feel great with the current setup. Okay, and this has to be against enemies that are like level 100 plus, because everything level 100 plus gets you don't get any more resistances. Okay, so if you wanted this short dirty answer, that's a short dirty answer. The rest of this video is going to be a long rant, and it's going to go over. So I mean, grab your popcorn, whatever. So the first thing that I want to talk about is this guy's video when I was on the toilet. He's a Warframe player. He explained it, and I'm like, let me see how this works in Duet Night Abyss. And because I was like, let me see how this current video works in Duet Night Abyss, it kind of got me testing a lot of things and understanding the formula and system a lot more. And then it made me end up going to Borat GG and looking at stuff and looking at all the multipliers and understand the multipliers a bit more. And what multipliers I can put that are different that could increase my damage values to get the highest damage possible. So my goal was to hit 20k on rhythm, on Lin, to try to get 20k on rhythm to try to get that damage that Lin has, but for a ranged weapon, and it ended up just not feeling great because the laceration for Lin is 1,000,000 and it's insane. So here's the first thing that the guy goes over, and this is the biggest thing. I just kind of want to explain the concept of diminishing returns. So right here we have this one gives us 41% attack. Okay, I'm gonna put an extra crit chance just so we can just so you guys can see like crit chance. That makes maybe I should just put a little bit more. Okay, so this is just, I'm just doing this just so that you can see the only thing that's going to be changing here is the attack. You see it's crit chance, and it's going to attack a little bit slower. It's just for consistency, just so you guys can see the high number. Okay, and then I'll put a celerity to cancel out this one. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Okay, and I'm doing this on the MC so you can see. And so right here we have 41% attack. Okay, and we have 41% attack. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this attack. Then we're going to summon an enemy. We're going to summon him. He's going to be level 100. He's going to be AFK. We're going to summon this guy. Okay. And when we attack, right, we can see our crits. All right. Our crits are about 360. Okay. And now we're going to defeat him. We're going to go to the armory. Hey. And it sucks because the value isn't high enough, but I don't really want to put more carmine into it. So we're going to put 41% attack. And 41% attack, right? That's a lot. Okay? That's like 100 spike attack. And then we're going to summon the guy. And so our most was like 360, right? And we're gonna put him level 100 again. And all right, and go here. And then we're going from 100. Wait, we're going 330. Where's our highest number? I mean, we're hitting 411 criticals, so that's pretty good, right? Our high end. So our criticals are getting pretty high, okay? And so you can see how that was a pretty big increase from like 350 to like 411, 400, right? And it's really annoying to see because of this, but this is just a smaller example. So it was about like 70 damage increase or something like that. I'm not too, I wasn't locked in. I'm not gonna lie. This is just me kind of yapping, but right here, I want to find right here, impetus focus. So right here, we'll do this and we will see, right? That we're going to go here. And then we're going to summon the dude. We're going to make him level 100. And then right here, right, we go to about 490. Okay. So the increase was like 40% the first time. And then from 370 to was it from 400 something, right? To I think it's 490 now. It went from like 411 to like 490, right? That increase isn't as massive as the 390, right? As a 300 to the 400, you know? That's the big thing that I want to get across here. So it went from like 400 to not even breaking 500. So it's like a difference. It's not, you can't notice the difference as well because these aren't upgraded. But if I upgrade it more, one, it's gonna cost me more carbine. I don't want to do that for a test. And two, it's diminishing returns. And so that's the main thing that I want to explain. It's a lot easier to see with bigger numbers, but it's a lot harder to show because there aren't two different demon wedges that give you the same exact numbers that are like 200% and 200%. So it's not the best example, and this guy's level 61, so he's not getting as much attack bonus too, so there's a lot to it. But I just kind of wanted to give that up, show that, just so you guys can see. Okay, and so my end goal was to do this. Okay, to get my character to, when I equip a weapon, I can make them do a lot of damage. And so even this guy at level 100, right? Wait, what?
Weapons, supplies, power levels,
Demon wedges.
check completed for the 17th time. Standing by.
Right here. I was like, why am I shooting so slow? So even when I do this, right? This weapon's doing 20k a hit, and it still doesn't feel great, you know? I can get a little bit more damage and stuff, and this isn't with Truffle and Filbert and all my supports, but it still doesn't feel great, you know? And I can use my E and get it a little bit more, but it's like, it's just not the best feeling thing, and I still dump the full mag, and I can't defeat an enemy that's 20 levels higher than me. So that's the big thing. That's the whole thing that I wanted to show early on. Now the next thing that I want to go over is right here. Element damage does matter. So over here on Borat, go over here, and these are all the multipliers. So the biggest thing that we want to do is, in order to increase our damage, right?
Weapons, supplies, power levels, mission, the world outside purgatory.
In order to increase our damage, right? Right here, we want to equip different things that do different things. So we want to equip multi-shot. We want to equip attack and crit chance, right? We want to equip attack speed, right? We want to equip spike attack. And we want to equip crit damage, right? And we want to have our crit rate and all of this, right? And then we also want to equip our bonus effect extra damage. And we don't have anything else that can give us more damage at this point without giving us an insane amount of diminishing returns for value. So at this point, you're stacking attack or crit damage or anything to get more consistent, right? And that's the current problem with the weapons in this game, so you can't really hit more multipliers. right? But here we would slowly get more damage and stuff. You can get more multi-shot, but I mean, after a certain amount of multi-shot, you're just kind of getting into additive territory. So that's where it is, all right? But the biggest thing that I wanted to go over here
Supplies, power levels,
is that
mission plans.
element
Check the
damage
map for the
matters, okay? And so element damage is additional modifier in that, but it's not in the character. It's in the character slot instead of in the weapon slot. So that's an additional modifier you can take to get your damage up. That was the whole purpose of me doing testing this. Because weapons in the game are categorized as physical damage types, but they still do elemental damage. They're damage that is physical damage at type, but it's not. But it's also elemental damage. It's a little weird to think about, but it's cool. The base crit chance in this game is too low. Okay, so right here we can see that the highest crit chance we can get, even with right here, I have focus and I have impetus and focus, and I have about like 200% extra focus. I can only get 58% because my character's base is 20 and the weapon's base is 20. The bases are too low to get high amounts of crit chance in this game. So even at 200%, which is considering gold demon wedges that increase it by a gold amount, it's still not enough. It's still not enough to get to that overcrit. So at this point, overcrit isn't even a mechanic in the game. And even if you were to focus on overcrit, you're stacking so high on additive that you're not going to be able to get your multipliers. They're not going to multiply against each other. And there are no multipliers to benefit your addition. So that's the big thing. So there's nothing that, like, if I have 100% crit chance here and I get 50% extra, right? It's going to be 50% of the 20%, so it's only going to be 10. It's not going to be 50% of the 100% total, so then it's 150. There's nothing in this game that currently does that. So maybe they'll add that in the future. I'm not too sure. Damage dealt is the same as weapon damage and such. So right here, we can see that in the formula, all damage boosts are kind of the same. I personally kind of figured these were the same, but I thought damage dealt was something different, but damage dealt is the same according to this website. So even if I increase this character, if I equip MC on the side with duel, and then I equip what's it called? I equip MC in the side and Truffle and Filbert to get more damage boosts. I'm eventually gonna hit diminishing returns. I don't know when that is, but I'm gonna hit them faster if I'm running duel. So I'm not sure how well these demon wedges stack up if you fully were to upgrade them. That would take like a month, but I'm not doing that. So yeah, it's a really bad thing. So these all do that. So eventually you're gonna hit diminishing returns. So you can't really go, I'm going to go weapon damage, I'm going to go damage boost, and then I'm going to go damage dealt. They're all the same modifier. So it doesn't like multiply and make like crazy numbers, which sucks. That's one way I thought I can make the damage, I can make them do more damage, but they're all the same. So they're all just going to add the same amount and it's not going to add anything. So if you get 100% damage dealt, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, but then you add 100% weapon damage, it's going to be the same amount as adding 100% damage dealt. There isn't a normal gold, focus, or rage trammel bug fix. So over here, rage trammel at max rank is about the same as a purple rage trammel. So this plus 10 is almost the same as this. It's like the difference of like 10% on both crit damage and anything. And there's no gold, focus, or rage. So like it doesn't make any sense. So you're not going to be able to get those higher numbers. Even though the base is so low, you still won't be able to get those higher numbers. So you can't upgrade these anymore. So you can't get enough crit rate to even overcap easily. You can if you build like Tabitha, but we'll get into that. Negative mods aren't more than their purple counterpart, so they don't work. Right here we have Celerity Cunning. This gives me 20% attack speed. Celerity gives me 72% attack speed at gold plus 7. If it were purple, it'd probably be 60, okay? So right here, we're not getting a whole bunch of stats, you know? Oh, right here, focus and mass is a better example. 100% crit chance, and then focus itself is 100%. I'm getting a negative modifier right here. I'm getting a negative modifier just to get diminishing returns. And that's the biggest problem. So something with a negative modifier, you're putting in an extra slot to get those diminishing returns, and you don't get any returns normal more than something that just a straight benefit. So you're just for fun, you're just losing attack speed and stuff. And attack speed is DPS, so I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. So negative mods definitely need to be fixed. Like it's not a question that they need to be fixed. No mod that multiplies the stacking of crit. We went over this, but there's no mod currently in the game that makes your crit go higher. I heard that Fiends is multiplicative, and we did a little bit of testing with it. It feels like it is. I don't. The number is too low. I don't really care about 40% multiplier, to be honest. When you're multiplying 40% of 80, so it's like 30%, and 30% is like 100%, so it's about the same as a demon wedge. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So it's just because the base numbers are so low that getting a multiplier doesn't really matter because the multiplier is low. So that's something to put into account, right? If Death Fiends is multiplicative, I'm not too sure. Putting another one of the same mods doesn't give you more. This is one thing that I was saying. This is just explaining diminishing returns. Diminishing returns are a very important part of making things do a lot of damage. The reason why you do not worry about building your character, right? And when you build your character, you do not care about diminishing returns as much. Well, this isn't a great example, but why you can build like 8 wings inspo on Psyche is because the multiplier is so high that it's going to take you so long to hit those diminishing returns in those aspects that it doesn't really matter. All right. The next one is covanters being a cheeks affects weapons more. Lol. Can't put morale on Hydro, so no one ever crit with morale bonus. Okay, and then this also links into the next one. Even E4 Tabitha is only 124% crit, which does nothing. 30% crit on the best setup. With the way things are worded, we don't know if Tabitha, right, all of her passives, if the way they work will give you an insane amount of crit or not, and if any of her crit multipliers are multiplicative. We don't know that. But the big thing that I can say is that if it works the way that the game with Signifier works, it's only about like 30% crit, which isn't even going to help you overcrit consistently. We've done it just for overcritting and just to seeing if you can overcrit, but you're not going to be hitting your most important points in a build because right here, Hydro characters do not have appropriate Covenanter support to build the morale to then get those damage bonuses that you need from your character. You're not going to be able to do that. So, again, Covenanters. It all comes back to Covenanters, man. I said this before. So, right here. In Warframe, the base oh my gosh, the base crit rate is 50, and there are mods that multiply it at the end. Parentheses new demon wedges. Maybe they're gonna add multiplicative mods in the future. So I'm not gonna say too much, but the base values of everything kind of suck. So even with that, you're not gonna the base unless the mod adds like what like 100% and it's multiplicative like it's not going to be anything crazy. So the mod would have to be so insane. And at that point, it's just like, bro, why don't you just fix what you have in the first place? And then we start adding stuff. So I'm in the big camp of fixing things that they already have. And then we add new weapons with better stats, and the only ones are doo-doo. And the old ones are doo-doo. Don't say they're adding new weapons. This is just mainly for the people that say they're adding new weapons. If they add new weapons, they're going to be locked behind a weekly pay gate for months. And then you're finally going to be able to get them, and then they're going to add new weapons that get locked behind a weekly pay gate. And so I'd rather they just fix their current base values in their current system and their current demon wedges that they have just to make the foundation of this better so that you're not ending up fixing so much stuff in the future. the next thing is Warframe has Genshin type multipliers, aka you can add element mod, it's status mod to weapon. So imagine like vaporizing Genshin, if you know what that is. It's like 1.5x. In Warframe, if you apply 2 statuses on an enemy, you can then get like 3 times damage, and that's at the end. So imagine I'm doing 20,000 damage now, and the enemy is afflicted with these 2 statuses. You can then do 3x damage, so then you'd be doing about 30,000 damage. Okay, it's insane. I mean, you'd be doing about, if it's 20, you'd be doing about like 60,000 damage. So that's where the damage starts to ramp up. So there are no multipliers like that in the game currently. With the current Demon Wedge system, maybe they'll add them in the future. Maybe characters will add them. I hope they're not log behind characters. So the weapons feel bad because of that. That's why Warframe weapons feel better. If you didn't have as many Demon Wedges that you do in Warframe, then it'd be different. Right here, this one's a big one. Spike just matters if the enemies has HP and all enemies have HP. I kind of wanted to gatekeep this, but I mean, since we're already here, I guess I'll explain it. So we'll summon Big Boy over here. We'll put him level 100. And so we'll attack. Right. Wait. Oh, I have the wrong Demon Wedge set.
Weapons, supplies, power levels, mission plans. Check completed for the 17th time.
Let's leave real quick. Sorry. Oh man, I hope they had a system to get ammo and sanity faster. Like, the current way it works is so cheeks. Alright. So right here, we'll go over here. We'll summon this guy because this guy has shield and I just want to prove a point. So right here, we'll do 100 and we'll do this and we'll summon him and and you can see our highest crit is 22,000. He goes down to HP. Our highest crit still is around 22,000. There was a 23 there, but it doesn't really make a difference. And so right here, we can equip this range weapon, which scales with crit chance. And the damage doesn't really matter. It's just more to prove a point right here. Okay, that look at the damage with the shield, right? It's 15,000. The moment the shield is gone, it's 10,000. And so Spike just works if the enemy has HP, or Spike just doesn't work, or it could just be that enemy type. I don't know where it is. But Spike currently is just broken. So any weapon that has Spike is just going to be a better weapon in general than a slash weapon, because the slash weapons actually follow the game's core principles to an extent. But even then, slash is 2x. So I don't know how we go from 2x damage, 1,500 to 10,000. That doesn't make sense. Am I tripping? I just realized that while testing this. The numbers, I'm not going to question it. I'm not going to question it. Hey guys, the game is perfect the way it is. Hey guys. The damage gain from making your build weapon damage focus is about 50%. So this is the big thing. First of all, it's only going to work on certain elements with the current covenanter system, which sucks. But doing this versus doing my normal build, I don't know which build I did, but it's only about a 50% damage like increase from 10,000. So if I were to swap to this, it would be like 10,000, and then you're decreasing so much value in your character's kit just to increase the weapon damage. And it's like the weapons don't even feel that great, and you're doing it for 50% extra damage. Like, I'm going from 10,000 to 15,000. Like, that's the difference. It's not really that great versus like the difference of doing like 100k versus like, you know. Now for certain characters like these guys, it doesn't matter too much, but for other ones, it does matter. And then again, covanters. This all goes back to covanters. So electro characters have a lot more support. And then if I were to go to a character like Lynn, especially if we go into the Borat formula, she has resolve. She has morale. No, she doesn't have resolve. She has morale. My bad. I'm tripping. She has morale. She has damage boost in her kit, and she has damage bonus. And then you mainly want to focus on these. So these aspects of her kit, right? You're gonna hit these insanely faster. But the problem is she doesn't get as much morale as I can get on my other characters. So she just gets a buttload of attack. A buttload of attack. And even then her attack isn't even like at a normal build, her attack isn't even crazy more than this. It's insane. So you just don't have as much bonuses with the pyro set. So even though she gets so much more damage bonus and stuff, you don't get the morale and stuff that this character gets. It's kind of insane to think about, but it's really why a lot of weapons builds are going to be element specific in the current state of the game, and that sucks. That really sucks. Imagine being you. The main point of playing a weapon is because you want to play. You want to have the flexibility of being able to play any character. But currently, if you want the best, you'd go Electro or Umbro. Those are the only two characters that can benefit a lot from weapon damage. So these are all my findings. This is just ramblings. I just really want to explain to you guys the concepts of why weapon damage is bad. And I'm not really addressing how it can be fixed because, to be honest, the first thing that they can do, I've said this before, is make this value. After reviewing this, they really should just make this a multiplicative value, and it should just be like 50% extra damage or something for using these types. And at least that would be a better thing than 20% attack that this currently has. At least that would be a start, and it'd be something to work on. And so at least that way you would force players to do different types of weapons on different characters, rather than, okay, this is the best weapon damage weapon in the game, whereas, oh, this is the best weapon damage for a character that uses this proficiency, you know. Oh, and then you have to count in elements too, because then the diminishing returns and the character. So you're not even going to be able to optimally build stuff. So yeah, and then my second thing is fix the covanters. I said this before, make them universal, and yeah, I say those are two great fixes. They're not too hard. They're not implementing anything new. They're just fixing the current systems in the game that are problems. So that definitely is something that I really, like I said, just fix the covanters, guys. But I'm not gonna complain about it anymore. See you guys. Bye bye. I hope you guys learned something, and if you did, let me know. And if you want to discuss anything, comments are open. See you guys. Bye bye.